Hi, I'm Warwick from Harder&Steenbeck, and as you know, we never shy away from the tough topics here. So today, we're tackling yellow with the help of the fantastic Andy Wardle from Cult of Paint.
Hey everyone, it's Andy from Cult of Paint here. In this video, I want to give you some tips on how to paint yellow, a notoriously difficult color to paint. In a previous video, I showed you how to do a pre-highlight, and that's when we had the dark black base coat and we sprayed some white over the top. In this video, we're going to do a pre-shade. So a bit wordsy, but basically we're going to start with a light primer. I'm going to add some shadows before I do the yellow over the top. For the shading, I've chosen Mornfang Brown from Citadel. So it's a fairly warm kind of brown. It's going to work really well for shading yellow. You can use something like a pink, which gives you a really vibrant shadow. I prefer something like this, so it's a little more desaturated. So I've got my miniature prime white, I've got my airbrush, and it's loaded with the Mornfang Brown. The dilution is around 3 parts thinner to 1 part paint, and I've used Vallejo thinner for this. Once I'm happy with the dilution, I'm just going to test it out on something on the side, make sure the paint's flowing well, and it's looking really good there. A nice dark brown. I want the shadows to be really on the undersides of the miniature, all the parts that, the light is not going to be able to access. So I'm going to try and tip the model almost upside down and try and get this dark brown in all of those areas underneath the miniature. So I start by just gently pressing the trigger down, and then I pull it back slowly just to make sure that paint isn't flying out everywhere. You can see here on the shoulder pad, I'm just going to build up some shadows where I think the shadows are going to fall. The most important thing I think is just holding the miniature at the correct angle so you're comfortable with your airbrush. Here on the inside the leg, I think I want that part to be dark, so I'm just going to angle it so it's not going to get the brown on the highlight part, and just slowly build that up. If you make any mistakes, you can go ahead and respray some white on any really bad parts, but I wouldn't worry about it too much. Just try and do the best job you can, and you'll get better every miniature you paint. So I've finished my pre-shade, and you can see I haven't added too much of the brown. I've tried not to go overboard, just really focused on the parts I think I want to be really dark. But a pre-shade is really useful if you've got any color that just struggles to go over black or something like that. Anything where the coverage isn't great. And yellow is the absolute classic for this example. For painting the yellow, I'm going to use Citadel Flash Kits Yellow. This is actually the air version, but I would recommend using the normal layer one. I've just got this one here, but if I had the layer one, I'd probably go for that. So I've got my miniature ready. I've got a little bit of something to test spray on here at the side. I'll just check the yellow is flowing properly out of the brush. When I'm happy with the dilution, I'm just going to carefully spray, focusing on the white areas. But when I go over the brown, it's not going to cover that well, so it will create some nice shading. I'm just slowly building this up, and when I've got a nice application of the paint, I move on to another area. It's important we don't go over one part too much, so it pools. think doing yellow is one of the most joyous things that becomes not so horrible when you start airbrushing. So if you're new to airbrushing, then maybe yellow is one of the first things you should try. After 2 coats, which I think is pretty good going for yellow, you can see we've got a nice vibrant yellow. I'm not quite satisfied with the shading, so an optional extra thing you can do is do some shading after as well. And in fact, another way round to doing it instead of a pre-shade could be to just paint it flat yellow and do the shading after. There's advantages and disadvantages to which way round you do it. If you're doing it after, you need to have a little more experience and brush control. So I think if you're new to airbrushing, definitely stick to the pre-shade. It's a little more forgiving, but as you get more experienced and you've got good control with your airbrush, you can spray it yellow and then just add the shadows after. So I've got my yellow here, and I've got the airbrush loaded up with Mornfang brown again. This time I've diluted it a little bit further, just so it's a little more translucent. So I probably diluted it with about 4 parts thinner to 1 parts paint, so just a little bit thinner. I'm going to do the same thing I did again, but this time just trying to be really careful and slowly build it up. I think on the bottom of this shoulder pad is going to be the best example, so I'm just going to carefully add the shadows. And you can see this is pretty strong, so you do have to be careful. I think it's going to look cool for a gaming miniature. It's just going to stand out and have a really high contrast. So I'm just going to work my way around the model and just add shadows where I think it's going to look cool. Such as the inside of the leg here, I think that bit would definitely be darker. You can see on the inside of the leg here, that definitely wants a little bit of shading. And because I've diluted the paint further than before, I've got a little more control and I can just build up this shadow quite carefully. If you make any really bad mistakes, like I did with the shin, you can go back over with the Flash Kits yellow and just slowly erase those mistakes. With the yellow airbrushed, you could go in now with some washes for the recesses, add some edge highlights, and that will enhance it further. But this first step, getting the airbrushing done, I think is such a good head start on normally a really tricky colour. I think I like this method more, but I will say it is a little more difficult. You have to have a tiny bit more experience and good brush control so you don't ruin the yellow. But both ways are great, and hopefully it makes yellow way easier than painting it with just the brush. So I hope you enjoyed it. I work for a company called cultofpaint. We specialise in painting tuition. We do video tutorials every week over on YouTube, and we do advanced tutorials over on Patreon as well. We also do in-person classes. We just love to teach people painting. If you like these tutorials, please check out Cult of Paint and everything we do.